Every day, the equivalent of 2,000 garbage trucks full of plastic is dumped into the world's oceans, rivers, and lakes. Without change, plastic is estimated to outweigh all the fish in the sea by the year 2050.
Plastic is one of the biggest pollutants because it is so prevalent in our everyday life. It's all around us in the paint and the walls. It's in the clothes that I'm wearing. It's in our electronics. Out of the hundreds of millions of tons of plastic that is produced every year, more than half of it goes to single-use applications. And there's a good reason for that. Plastic is more energy efficient, it is cheaper, and it's more scalable than the alternatives such as glass and aluminum. But there's a problem with that. A small percentage of that plastic ends up being recycled, but an even smaller amount, but sizable, ends up in the environment. They break down into smaller and smaller particles that we call microplastics or nanoplastics. And these small plastic particles have the ability to penetrate inside living cells. That ends up going up the food chain into plants and animals where it penetrates animal tissue and organs. We ultimately eat those plants and animals and it ends up inside of us where it accumulates for a long time and causes pretty serious health effects.
While plastics boast a unique and useful set of properties, pollution from this vital commodity has become a serious global concern. As a major contributor to climate change, about 300 million tons of plastic is produced every year, and only 9% is recycled.
Like with any other product, we need to assure what's called end of life. And it's where we have a major disconnect. We really don't know what to do with it after we use it. And in order for us to solve that problem, we need to have a set of critical rules and infrastructure to manage it efficiently. And unfortunately, that doesn't exist. And effective recycling is really only for deposit systems for PET bottles.
Today, most plastics are made from fossil fuels, further contributing to CO2 emissions and climate change. But as new technologies emerge, the use of renewable and biodegradable alternatives are becoming available.
PHAs, or polyhydroxyalkanoates, are a class of bioplastic that are produced in nature by bacteria as a means of energy storage. And because bacteria produce them, they have the enzymatic mechanisms to break those bioplastics down back into carbon, water, and energy. There are 7 recycle codes for plastic, and codes 1 or 2 are the ones that are commonly recycled. But even among those, there are a number of plastic types that can't be recycled. And on top of that, colored plastics and multi-layer systems are very, very difficult to recycle. So replacing it with something that is compostable, and in the worst cases where it's mismanaged and ends up in the environment and is biodegradable, is extremely important for us to do as a society.
Bioplastics, made from renewable sources, are quickly becoming the future of the industry. Replacing conventional plastics with those derived from biopolymers can help to reduce both emissions and energy consumption.
PHAs can be produced industrially through the fermentation of different biomass, such as starches, sugars, and oils, as well as biogases, methane and CO2. So because these are all bio-based carbon sources, that every single carbon atom that exists in that PHA came from the atmosphere. So we're effectively sequestering carbon out of the atmosphere and helping to offset the carbon footprint that comes from conventional plastics.
Historically, it has been way too easy to claim biodegradability. There is even a term for that called greenwashing. The companies were simply saying our product is biodegradable without really having anything to prove. In order to provide substantiation or proof of biodegradability, it's very important to use independent and verifiable company that conducts extensive testing, including the most stringent tests of marine biodegradability. And those are very long and comprehensive tests. It takes months.
Now, cutting-edge technologies and innovations are helping businesses create durable and sustainable packaging solutions that function like commonly used plastics.
Beyond Plastic is dedicated to the sustainability and replacing these plastics, the traditional plastics with biopolymers. Bioplastics in general, it's very difficult to apply to a commercial practice. The same thing is with PHA. They're a difficult material, and even knowing they are plastic, they don't traditionally process as a regular petroleum plastic does. So the application for the technology is simply reinventing the processing methods. So PHA in our hands, for example, has a glass transition temperature which is below 10 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius, which means the material crystallizes naturally. So you cannot use the same type of practices that you do for traditional plastics when it comes to PHAs.
With tailored applications and solutions to ensure products meet industry standards for quality, safety, and sustainability, the company goes above and beyond to educate consumers on what it means to be truly recyclable, compostable, and biodegradable.
Education on PHA is very important because 95% of all the people within this industry don't even know what PHAs are. PHA has been around for 30 plus years. It's been used in the medical applications for a very long time. But when it comes to PHA application for the packaging industry, that is very, very new. It is a plastic, it behaves like a plastic, and it needs to perform like a plastic, but it has all these added benefits of also being compostable and biodegradable. And you get this light bulb moments when they realize that, hey, we can do things a lot differently if we had access to this material.
Helping to reduce the harmful effects of petrochemical plastics on the environment, the use of biodegradable biopolymers addresses the increasing demand for plastic products while contributing to a more sustainable and eco-friendly future.
Plastic demand is continuously growing. We're looking at 600 million tons consumption of plastics by 2050. And unfortunately, the recycling side of the plastic industry is not keeping up with the consumer demand.
I believe that we need to continue working on improving plastic materials that we use and improving life cycle of the material that we use. It's not only creating material that meets certain performance criteria, but also proving that this material becomes an important part of our circular economy. And the end-of-life solution on circularity, whether it's recycling or composting, can be assured that going forward, we're going to live in a sustainable and environmentally safe way.